Hello students, this is the second part of chapter Respiration in Organisms, which is chapter 6 of class 7 science. We have already talked about the respiration and how the process works, and we have seen two types of respiration, which is aerobic, which takes place in the presence of oxygen, and anaerobic respiration, which takes place in the absence of oxygen. We have talked about cellular respiration and the example of anaerobic respiration without oxygen when it takes place, and muscle cramps and lactic acid and respiration in humans we have seen in stages. Now, this is the part 2 where we are going to talk about breathing. So, what is breathing? Breathing is the process of taking in air rich in oxygen, which is called inhalation, and giving out air rich in carbon dioxide, which is known as exhalation. So, when we inhale, we take the oxygen inside our body, and when we exhale, we produce carbon dioxide. We remove carbon dioxide from our body as a waste. Now, it is a continuous process necessary for survival. That's why breathing is necessary because we need it for our survival. That's how we live. Now, what is breathing rate? Number of breaths, which means inhalation and exhalation cycles. So, once we take in the air and when we exhale the carbon dioxide, this completes a single cycle. So, how many cycles we can do in a minute is called breathing rate. This rate increases during exercise and decreases during rest or sleep. So, when we exercise, we need more oxygen. So, we inhale and exhale fastly, so the speed increases. That's why the rate increases during exercise, breathing rate. And it decreases during the rest or sleep because we don't need that much oxygen. Now, example are at rest, adult usually breathe 15 to 18 times per minute, but can breathe faster after running. So while we run, we need more oxygen. That's why the breathing rate increases. The mechanism of breathing. Breathing involves movement of the diaphragm, a dome-shaped muscle under the lungs. So this is the dome-shaped muscle, which is diaphragm. And the second one is rib cage. Now, rib cage is this, which protects our lungs. Now, the steps include inhalation, which is breathing in. So when we breathe in, when we inhale the oxygen, the ribs move up and out, the diaphragm moves down, space in the chest is created, it increases because it needs to fill the air in lungs. So what happens when we breathe in? The ribs move up, okay? The ribs move up and the diaphragm moves down. And when we exhale, when we breathe out, the ribs move down and in, and the diaphragm moves up. See, this is exhalation because the diaphragm is moving up, and the space in chest decreases because air leaves the lungs. We will see the process. So you can see how the inhalation and exhalation is taking place. See, it's inhaling and then exhaling. That's how it takes place. So when we breathe in, the oxygen goes inside and the chest expands and the ribs are there. These are called ribs, rib cage. The diaphragm contracts, which means the diaphragm moves downwards when we breathe in. And the diaphragm relaxes or moves up when we breathe out. And the chest contracts while breathing out. So this is the process of breathing in and breathing out. Now there's a practical activity that you can do by observing the breathing. So hold your breath. After some time, you feel a strong urge to breathe due to rising carbon dioxide in your body. Now measure your breathing rate after normal rest, walking briskly, or running fast. So all three of them will have a different breathing rate. Why? Because normal rest, while we are resting, we don't need that much oxygen and we don't breathe that faster. So our breathing rate will be slow. But while we are running, we need more oxygen. And when we run out of the oxygen, it performs the anaerobic respiration as we have seen earlier. So record and compare. Breathing rate is the lowest at rest and highest after running due to higher energy and oxygen demand. Now, breathing and sneezing. The nose has tiny hairs that trap dust and other particles in the air. So, our nose has these tiny hairs that traps dust while we are breathing, while we are taking oxygen inside from our nose, because we breathe from our nose, inhale, and so the dust particles are there which traps inside those tiny hairs. So, some particles may still reach the inside of your nose, causing irritation and sneezing. That's why we sneeze, because the dust particles are there. Now, sneezing helps remove these unwanted particles from your body. Always cover your nose while sneezing to prevent spreading germs or dust to others. So, the sneezing helps in removing out the dust that is trapped inside the tiny hairs of our nose. So, when we sneeze, we always need to cover our nose because the germs are there. So, while we are sneezing, we need to prevent spreading germs or dust to others. So, we need to cover our mouth or nose. Now, human respiratory system. So these are the organs and these are the functions of human respiratory system. First one is nose or nasal cavity, and its function is to filter and warms and moistens the incoming air that is coming, which is oxygen, of course. And then there's trachea. Now, trachea is this windpipe. It is known as windpipe because it is the main passage for air to reach the lungs. Now, lungs are there. Lungs is the main site for gas exchange, where the gas is exchanged. Ribs are there. Ribs protect lungs and assist in breathing movement. Then there's diaphragm, which helps in expansion and contraction of chest cavity. So remember, lungs fill with air during inhalation and empty during exhalation. So this is the process which is known as breathing. Yeah, so this was all about this chapter. I hope you understood everything and liked the video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to the channel for more such videos. We are going to cover all other chapters in the next parts. So till then, take care, keep revising, and we'll meet in the next video soon. Bye bye.